This will be a short presentation on Chapter 1, which is food selection, and we will be covering predominantly the senses and how they interact with our food choices. So it's important to understand as dietitians and nutrition professionals what is motivating individuals to purchase specific foods. So we know that food companies offer lots of different prepared and packaged foods, and there's stiff competition between them for different types of foods or different types of ingredients. So food scientists working for these companies want to know why people eat the things that they eat, what people eat, and what is really motivating customers to purchase those products. So what it boils down to is that people's choices for foods and beverages come down to a few basic reasons. The first is how food looks and tastes, which we're going to talk about today. But there's also the element of health, culture, and religious views, their environment, so maybe what grows around there, their psychological and their social needs, as well as financial concerns. Now we're going to talk a lot about the sensory criteria in this video. When we talk about sensory criteria, we are referring to sight, odor, taste, touch, and hearing, and how all of these interact to help us select foods. So our eyes provide sight, and this is our first impression of foods. So when you go to the produce aisle, are you picking a fruit that looks like it's unripened or that it's overly ripe? Chances are not. Your eyes are helping you make that selection. If you've taken the food lab with me, you had to do a meal project, and one of the things that I made you do in that meal project is color your meal so that you're showing me the different colors on the plate. So chefs at restaurants even understand that sight, we eat with our eyes first. So the colors that are on the plate really matter as well. Second sense we have is odor. We have like a trillion olfactory receptors that help us to smell food. These odors are caused by something called volatile molecules. And basically what these are molecules that are floating into the air, and eventually they make their way into the epithelium on our noses, and sometimes they go through our mouth into the nose to interact with the epithelium. So think about it, when you have a cold or you're really congested, it's difficult for you to smell, and it's also difficult for you to taste foods as well. So odor and taste go hand in hand, and we'll talk about that in just a second. Our ability to taste and smell diminish as we age, but specifically our ability to detect odors can diminish as we are exposed to them, and this is called adaptation. We lose our sense of taste as well as smell, like I said, as we age, and part of that is what contributes to the greater risk of foodborne illness in the elderly population. So they may be less likely to be able to smell spoil food or taste that food tastes a little bit off, and because of that, they may be eating food that could be harmful to them more often than not. And there are a few ways that we can classify odors. This can be flowery, fruity, it can smell burnt or foul. I think of how a sommelier might explain the odor of a wine before they actually taste it, whenever we talk about the different odor categories. Next is taste. This is our biggest factor in the selection of food. So think about it. If you taste something that tastes absolutely terrible to you, you're likely to never try it again. Taste happens from a combination of volatile and non-volatile compounds interacting with our taste buds. So this means that food mixes with our saliva, and that interacts with the gustatory cells to trigger taste. So it sends that signal to our brain from the gustatory cells, and it triggers a taste. It's also related to the odor of foods because remember of those volatile compounds that are kind of circulating through the air. The 6 tastes that you see here are sweet, sour, bitter, plus umami, and oleogustus. The sides, tip, and the underside of the tongue are our biggest workers in detecting these tastes, and our taste buds are more active in these areas of our mouth rather than in the middle of our tongue. Umami and oleogustus are our newest tastes that we have identified. Umami means savory, and oleogustus means a taste for fat. Now, taste is not synonymous with flavor. Don't get that confused. Flavor is a broader concept than taste. Flavor encompasses taste, odor, and mouthfeel. You may find definitions as well that say flavor is the combination of taste and aroma. So with our tongues, we also touch our food, and with that, we can judge its consistency, sometimes noticing astringency or chemocesis. Astringency is what causes our mouth to pucker, like, it's astringent. Wine always does this to me, especially in my first taste. So some wines can taste more astringent than others. Chemocesis, on the other hand, is the feeling of a food causing like coolness or heat in your mouth or in your tongue. This could be from eating things like peppers or mint. So last, our hearing can make the selection process more effective as well. So you can hear popcorn popping, or if you open a new can of Coke and it fizzes, it's really carbonated. On the other hand, there may be a 2-liter bottle of Coke that has been sitting in your fridge and you open it expecting it for it to fizz, but it doesn't. What does that tell you? That it's probably old and it's lost its carbonation, and that flavor and mouthfeel may be pretty different. So this was just a brief presentation on our food choices and how sensory criteria affect those choices. If you have any questions, please send me an email or post in the Muddy Points forum.